We're here today with two of the executives from S2M. We've got David Jackson, the CEO, and Rebecca Herbert, who's Head of Sales and Marketing Recruitment on this next edition of Digital Chameleon's Chamcast. So a couple of questions we'd like to ask you today, guys, and maybe David could answer the first question around what is the current outlook for job seekers looking for digital marketing positions at the moment?
Look, we are leading up to the Christmas break, but taking that out of the mix, the market's very hot for them. Marketing is a position that is in high demand across client side, both publisher and the emerging .coms, but also in agency land. We're finding a lot of agencies are looking for skills with good marketing skills, good marketing background.
I guess it's a real need for digital marketing skills that are quite deep, and we're finding here in Australia that we do have a skills shortage in digital, and a lot of clients have been more inclined to bring talent from overseas and sponsor them because their knowledge is more detailed than what we have here in Australia.
In this marketplace. And you mentioned marketing staff. What about sales staff as well with digital skills? David, you mentioned publishers. Is there being a stronger demand for a cross-platform sell from publishers in that environment?
Most certainly. I wouldn't say that they're actually bringing them in from overseas on that last point, but there is a huge demand for local talent across, as you said, cross-platform, but more to the point now we see a lot of demand in video. So look, there's a strong outlook for sales and marketing at the moment, both in marketing and sales.
Yeah, sales can get away with being a little bit more light on in digital at the moment, and we've found that a lot of organisations are making it a real focus to upskill and train their sales staff on digital, and everything's becoming integrated now, so there's no such thing as a pure print role anymore really. There's still 10% or 20% of digital, and whether that be you're working with an external digital team or an internal digital team, you still are exposed to selling online.
And we know in particular the big major publishers have merged their teams of recent years, and you're finding that those guys that were selling print are now expected to sell digital, vice versa. The guys that were selling digital are now selling print.
Yeah.
So there's huge opportunities in those spaces because there's been a lot of fallout. Those digital guys that were pure selling digital are now walking around with rate cards of traditional print in their pocket, doing 20% print. Yep. And there is an undercurrent of, is that what I was, skilled to do? Yeah.
So that's a perfect segue to our next question around, can traditional sales and marketing staff actually make the transition to digital? Are you finding that with some of your candidates or the marketplace in general? Are they coping?
Yeah, look, if you had have asked that question a couple of years ago, I probably would have said it would be very difficult to do. But what we've found now is most candidates in the market have really identified that this is a need, it's a skill they must have, and they have been quite proactive in going out in their own personal time to upskill themselves. So I am seeing more traditional marketers, traditional sales professionals crossing over who have not experienced selling online before but have done some external training elsewhere, and clients are loving that. And a lot of our clients are now investing in both new staff and existing staff on upskilling their digital knowledge anyway, so it's a lot easier than it used to be.
Great.
Yeah.
And what are some of the hot skill sets that employers are looking for when looking for marketers in 2012 and or sales staff?
For a marketer, sorry to jump in, clients love a marketer, employers love a marketer who can talk numbers, who can talk about the ROI, that can demonstrate on their resume how they've increased revenue, how they've saved money, what campaigns they're involved in from conception through to completion, and how many Twitter followers they've got, were they part of that social media strategy, how many likes they can they generate on Facebook or whatever. We need to see numbers, because the beauty of digital marketing is everything is measured. So if you can't talk numbers and facts and figures to a percentage, you're not a pure digital marketer. Exactly.
He doesn't want to know you.
That's true.
You've got to have the examples.
Most marketers are well known for telling a story, for being fluffy, and that's worked in the past. But to cross over to digital online marketing, you need to be able to demonstrate that you know, you can increase value, you can add value to the business.
And just on that, Beck, how do you test that? You know, as an industry, how do you actually test those marketing skills in this day and age? I mean, you could talk about how many Twitter followers or what campaign they're driven from a Facebook or a social media perspective. How can you actually tangibly, you know, you're interviewing a candidate, get those skills across that then it can help you sell them into an organisation?
Well, you can't hide from it, it's all online. You know, we do our own research. If they've been a part of a social, if they've explained they've been a part of a social media campaign or strategy or whatever it is, we can just go and do our homework and you know, find out whether or not they really do have a Facebook page for starters, or if they were a part of a campaign. We also look after agency land, so if we're looking to client side, then we're probably most likely dealing with the agencies that have a relationship with that client. So we'll talk to the account directors and find out what they're like to work with and whether or not they did achieve great results. I mean, you can't really hide from anything in the world of online, unfortunately.
So it's all campaign driven, really. I think that's what she's trying to say. And these guys, these marketers, young marketers, need to have those campaigns outlined on their CVs.
Yeah.
And it's those campaigns and the awards they've won or the numbers they've driven that they need to explain to a recruiter and be able to sit there and tell you how it's worked, as opposed to, you know, in the old days, it'd be, I worked in the marketing department, we did, you know, we spent X million dollars on above the line, we did this through the line, and we did that below the line, you know? And that was your traditional CV. Now what Beck's saying is, we need you to see that quantified. We want to see examples of the campaigns you worked on and what the ROI was. Therefore, we can go to our clients and say, this is why you want to speak to Rebecca Herbert, because she's worked on this campaign, for this client, did this, and this. This was the return, or this is how they failed, or this is how they succeeded.
Which a good failure story can often be just as good as a good success story.
Well, so, we still learn from our mistakes,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Some of us do.
I even have clients who ask, tell me what hasn't worked with this person, tell me what campaigns have failed, because they are just as interested in the failure stories as the success stories. And often they can be the things that get them across the line too.
Well, especially in the digital world, because you do have to learn to adapt, and you do have to often keep changing and trying until you find out. I don't think there's any secret recipe for marketers to understand that. So really good advice there. You mentioned, David, you know, it's not just about roles and responsibilities from a marketer or a salesperson anymore. Examples are obviously something that helps people stand out from the crowd. What other skills do clients, your clients and corporate brands looking for when outside of those examples?
Well, they're looking for personality, and that's key. I mean, I was only talking to Rebecca about this last week, and it's not that they want to be able to see what the candidate's done and you know, can they replicate it in my business, but it's about what that personality is. If I bring that personality into my team, can that personality work in this team, and can we teach them how we work or the extra skills that they may not have? So, you know, apart from a good candidate, you know, I mean, I always harp back to the old, you know, where were you educated? Did you go and do your travelling? Have you got that bug out of your system? You know, how old are you now? You know, what companies have you worked at? I mean, that's my traditional recruitment. But these days we're finding that clients are sort of like, oh, hang on, just show me a good quality person that's, you know, that knows how to learn, that's been educated, that is going to come into my business and add value by being part of the team. And that works in sales and marketing.
On the back of that, I've found that clients, it's not as crucial where you've worked. I've had clients that have hired candidates on what they're doing in their own part, you know, personal life, what blogs they're doing, you know, what's their Twitter account like, and they're really given a potential employee a go because of what they've demonstrated they can do outside of their career. So if you do want to progress in the world of online, you really do need to be passionate about it and demonstrate that it is a part of who you are as a person, because David's right, personality is now almost just as important as a person's skill set.
So that
skills can be taught.
Cultural fit can be a very important part of recruitment.
But you're seeing these young kids come out of university, 23, 24, and they'll sit in front of me and they'll say, well, I reckon I could do that job, and this is why. And because if you have a look at my blog, I've got 15,000 followers. And I'm like, you got 15,000 followers? You're 24, you've just done a year and a half as a marketing exec at Coke. Great, you were the #1 grad from Macquarie probably, but look at that. I mean, that's phenomenal. So snapped up straight away on the back of the 15,000 followers on her blog.
Yeah.
You know, that she's been doing while she's been at university. So the girl's got probably started at school, sorry. She's probably got 6 years experience already in the digital space. You know, that wasn't thought of on a CV.
So how important is professional development in 2012, as opposed to that example you've given of your candidate there, that is living and breathing a blog world? Is professional development as important as real life experiences?
I think it all goes together.
Yeah.
I think it's important, and I think there's that grounding that they do need. And a lot of clients will ask for educated candidates that can prove they've done a course or that can prove they've gone to university and got that grounding. And then there's the other side of school of thought with the candidate that the client just wants that practical experience. But professional development is there. It's part of all of our clients are doing it. It's, they're all talking to someone about how they can upskill their current teams and get those teams integrated. And I mean, we just talked about it before off camera, but nowadays there's no such thing as the digital team. It's just, for example, Fairfax. Who's running Fairfax now? The head of digital. You know, who was head of digital 3 years ago.
From a candidate's perspective, what are some of the things that they could do to help themselves upskill and be digital ready for their next employer?
I think we touched on it earlier, is practice what you preach. Look at what you're doing in your personal life. Start a blog. If you can, run a few events on your Facebook or run a few little social media campaigns just to kind of get you get your head around what it's all about, and definitely look at pursuing training externally if your current employer is not in a position to do that. And then talk to a specialist digital recruiter who can help work out a plan and a strategy in taking you to your next steps in your career in that online world.
So just to add on that though, if you're a candidate at the moment looking to get into the market, then you'd be wanting to look around those digital strategy roles. You'd be wanting to look at social media roles. You'd want to have a look at the e-commerce specialist roles that are out there now. I mean, the group buying was the big hit, over the last 18 months. We've now, last 12 months has been the e-commerce, e-retail space.
Video advertising.
And now video is big, so if you're the candidate out there, you're going to look at these e-commerce roles, these social media roles, these strategy roles.
Content management. And
the content. Content, we all know, is king, which comes off the back of search. Yeah. Search is still the beast.
Yeah.
And content, Google's changing their algorithms all the time, which is meaning content must be fresh, must be updated. So these marketers need to know what content is, how to get it, how to develop it, and what it needs to look like on a website.
And the last 2 months we've seen a real rise in a need for digital strategists. So if you're a digital strategist, everybody's integrating their teams now. So it's a brilliant time for you to really leverage off the market and kickstart your career.
And on the flip side, what from an employer's point of view, what are some of their challenges, or what do they need? What are they looking for in some of their candidates?
I think an employer needs to be aware that there is no talent. Look, the talent's out there, but we just don't have the depth in Australia that maybe the UK and the US have. So they really need to be aware that they need to invest in upskilling their current staff and new staff, and if they're looking at hiring somebody, whether it be a digital marketing specialist or an online sales rep or whatever, to be open-minded. If that person is doing an external training course, interview them, have a look at them, and look where else they tick the boxes, because online is really just a skill that can be taught, and if you invest that time and money in them, they could actually end up being one of your star performers. But
I think over the last 6 months, those clients are getting their head around the fact that, well, 12 months ago they'd be going, I need this, this, this and this.
And they'd be waiting 12 months.
And they'd wait a time, or you'd send them one candidate and they'd go, well, hang on, can't I have 3 to choose from? Well, possibly, but you might have to wait another 2 months.
Yeah.
So I guess some advice for employers there is having flexibility when looking at candidates, and that they might not get the 9 out of 10 person that they were originally looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And we talked about personality before. A lot of clients are looking for that these days as well.
And what are the hottest vertical sectors at the moment? Are there any particular industries? You've mentioned types of roles today around digital strategists, social media. What industries is financial services?
It's
Is
a $1
it?
million question. What's next?
Financial services, definitely not.
Yeah.
I still say e-retail. I know we don't have the biggest market like the US or the UK, but you know, we're at sort of 7 or 8% online sales. That's only growing. It hasn't been as big a fever pitch rush as you would have thought. It just reminded me of mobile back in 05, 06 when everyone went mobiles here. Took mobile sort of 5 years to kick in, or a bit longer. I think e-commerce, e-retail went off within the last 12 months. Everyone's like, oh, e-retail, got to have e-retail site, got to be multi-channels, got to do this, got to do that. And everyone started flooding us going, can I have a job? I want a job, you know, I want to go get a job at Style Trade. I want a job at Big W. I want a job at, you know, at Coles Online. I want a job here. But the jobs aren't there because the traction's getting there, but it's not there. So that's my big one, is to watch out. It's going to go.
Yeah.
It'll go a bit stronger. I still think it's never going to get to where the US and the UK is, and what we keep hearing about. We've got a sister company in the UK, and they keep saying, oh, it's e-retail, e-retail, e-retail. We got a lot of the candidates pushed our way, which is good for the Australian market. But that, you know, that's the hottest one off the block. Previous to that was the group buying. Was hottest kids off the block for 12 months. We all know search is still hot and growing, still rapidly growing. You know, we've still got companies that are hiring 20 people in 3 months, you know, and building a search business. And they're all, you know, in agency land particularly. And back on video, it's...
video advertising.
Video's big and will continue to go.
So from an industry perspective, you know, video being a visual medium, are there particular verticals that are doing more in the video space? I mean, is it more your entertainment, music type businesses, Sonys or BMGs of the world, or is it the actual brands themselves that are wanting to get into video?
It's part of the strategy now as a whole.
I think
part of the marketing
strategy.
Yeah.
In relation to candidates, do you see any difference between Generation X and Generation Y candidates in what they are looking for?
We were talking about this last week, actually. Besides the obvious behavioural patterns and differences between Gen X and Gen Y, you've all read about them in the media for the past, you know, number of years. Ultimately, I don't see any real difference. They all want to be in online. They're all heading in the same direction, whether it be a fresh grad out of university or, you know, somebody who is a marketing director looking to continue to stay within the market. They all ultimately want and desire that online exposure.
Yeah, so they're all, I mean, some may look for agency, some may look for client side. I know particularly candidates that have had anywhere from 20 to 30 years experience that are still looking for jobs in agency land. Whereas we traditionally think the agency's for the young, you know, Gen Y, yeah? But there's a lot of people still that want to bring their knowledge and skill set into an agency. So, you know, the Gen X, Gen Y, Gen whatever you want, they're all looking pretty much as a mix mash of things, and we're right. I mean, initially when I thought about that, I would go, yeah, of course, you know, they are looking for different things. But when we thought about it, we went, no, they're all, whatever generation you are, whatever age you are, they're all looking for the same thing, and that's to be in this digital space. They can work in digital because they know it's growing. They're not going to lose a job.
Yeah.
It's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get more prominent. It's all integrated now. It's part of the business, and yeah, I think they're all looking for the same thing, really.
Oh, very interesting. So, in relation to recruitment, how has recruitment changed over the last few years? I mean, S2M has been going now 7 years, almost 8 years. You would have seen a number of changes. How has recruitment changed?
Well, you know, apart from the obvious electronic, you know, differences these days, I started out in recruitment back in '99, and I had a telephone and a fax machine. It wasn't even email for me. But anyway, so yeah, it's changed. Look, nowadays we've got things like LinkedIn. We've got video services that are in full view that you can pose your questions to your candidate online and they can answer the questions in a webcam. We've got services that have been developed such as Yelp.me, which is employ backwards, and it's an online referral business. We've got Paul Christie's business, which is called it's Sophie. And that's where you get a sign-on bonus if you join the company. So there's all these technologies that are coming into play, which is called the disruption of the services business. and they are interesting and they're out there and we're a part of them. We're actively part of all of those businesses and we're helping them develop their business because we want to be at the forefront of the digital space, whatever it is. Well, it just happens to be recruitment, and we need to be because we are a digital recruiter. And you know, LinkedIn has changed the business. Great, it's given us a database online, free of charge. Hello, what more could you ask for?
Facebook, Twitter.
But we still have clients. We still turn over millions and millions of dollars in recruitment fees every year, where our clients could be doing the same job. It's because we're specialists, we're niche. We talk to a niche market of candidates, we train them up, we put them into the market, we manage their careers effectively.
So you're saying your focusing is on that digital area. From the distribution model, if you will, of what you mentioned, of those other brands that you're part of, do you see them enhancing your business or diluting your business?
Enhancing. And I'd say 99% of every other recruitment would say that they'd be diluting. But I see it as enhancing. So if I can have, in full view, allow me to, and my staff to not bring so many candidates into this business every day, interviewing them and then presenting them to the client in person, if we can do that electronically and increase our productivity and lower the time differences. I mean, I had a client ring today, Fuji Xerox, they want CVs in 2 days' time. It's Melbourne Cup today. 2 days' time is Thursday. Yes, we could possibly deliver. But the modern technologies that are out there now will allow that to happen, and more so, will allow it to happen a lot quicker, I feel.
So how do you see it then evolving? You know, you've mentioned the changes over the last 7 years for the recruitment industry in your business. Where do you see it going? What are some of the evolutionary changes that may become evident in the future?
I think video is a killer app for recruitment, and to increase speed to market for candidates. We're forever interviewing candidates and then verbally presenting them to clients over the phone or in person. The client then deciding they'd like to read those CVs and work out whether they want to meet them, even though we're the specialists in the space and they should be taking our knowledge straight away. But I see video allowing that to pretty much happen seamlessly. If we can pose 3 questions or 5 questions to 3 candidates, get those shortlisted candidates URLs to the answers to those questions, put in one email to a client that then can hit a button and watch the 3 candidates answer the questions and then just email back saying, yes, I'd like to see them. It's just going to happen a lot quicker. I'm yet to see if LinkedIn will bring that service into their business, and I assume they will. I'm not sure. I think they'll wait for these young guys to build out their businesses first and see whether it is part of the business. But I see that working. I also see retained recruitment work as a major growth area in Australia, and preferred supplier agreements, with which we've been luckily asked to and tendered for and won a fair few recently. So I think the business model will change to more of a retained, more of a preferred relationship, and won't be so transactional based. And you know, I think all the ad agencies are trying to do that, and they've got these preferred supplier agreements in place, but I think they're run by procurement people and human resource managers that don't understand the needs of the business and aren't in touch with the line, who need candidates and need questions answered quickly and candidates placed quicker than they realise. And I'm seeing a lot of these PSAs in agency land not working. Yeah. And in particular, we've been asked to repitch on 2 of the major groups coming up for certain areas that the current suppliers haven't been able to deliver.
So on a recruitment level then, are you saying it's becoming less transactional and less of a commodity and moving more to a relationship-driven environment?
Most certainly. An example, you asked us about S2M. 6 years ago, half our business was placing website designers and website developers, okay? Guys that could do HTML coding and Flash. That is a commodity now. That can be done in the Philippines. That can be done in India. That can be done in Byron Bay. There's a bunch of blokes in Byron Bay that do it at half the rate than you can do it, in Sydney. So that's a commodity. That side of our business is still there and ticking along. But what our business has grown into, it's grown into more of the technical IT recruitment. It's grown more into the sales and marketing positions that all these organisations have realised that they actually need. 7 years ago, it was get a website up, do an email campaign, and we're in digital and let's do it. And that was the demand. And then you know, the skills around the world developed so that the cheaper economies could build those now, and we're not seeing a lot of it in our business. And we're the biggest in the country. We've got 16 people doing digital recruitment across Sydney and Melbourne, and we're more into that, you know, the marketing, the communications, and the IT.
Thank you, David and Beck, for your time, and certainly some wonderful insights there. So good luck in the future, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Cheers.